Every time I see a story that's really great, I think of you. I think to myself, you know what? This would be a good one to talk about. This would be really good. This is a good one. And the reason for it is very, very simple. Is that I just see stories that have something fascinating about it. Something truly, truly fascinating. And you know what's also interesting with this thing? I got to tell you something. Depending upon what level you want to go into, depending upon what level you want to enjoy in terms of this, believe me when I tell you this. Believe me when I tell you this. You're going to be absolutely, positively in love with the world so long as you're allowed to really discuss it. Does that make sense to you? So long as you're really allowed to discuss this thing, oh my God. And the thing about it, what's also very interesting, and I mean to tell you this, is that it's more complicated than people think, but not too complicated. What am I trying to say? Please don't jump for the ordinary. Please recognize how great all of this is. Please recognize how great this is. That's all. Please recognize how great this is. Now let's go through a couple of things out here, okay? And apparently, I guess today I put 7 a.m. versus 8 a.m. I don't know what I was doing. I get confused. 8 a.m., p.m., but let's get into this right now. Where would you like to start? Where would you like to begin today's? Where would you like to start your analysis? Do you want to just react to things? Or do you want to focus on things? What do you want to do? Do you want to just react? Do you want to hear somebody just give you the headlines? Which is okay. Headlines are okay. And we'll do that to an extent. But I want to tell you a little bit more about what this means. What this means. Let me go through a couple of things in no particular order. As you know, I have been telling you right now that I believe in basically triage to an extent. I like to look at the different issues, and I like to look at what do we need, what's coming up, where is the enemy. I either look at this in terms of war, or I look at this in terms of some form of a disease, of a pathology, of a patient of ours, where the patient is on his deathbed or what have you. You got it? I always look at the problems from either war or disease. And I also think to myself, who is the enemy? What do I need to look at? We could talk about certain things, certain stories. We'll talk about Ann Coulter calls Trump a pussy. And that's kind of interesting. That's low-hanging fruit. You'll like that because they're basically, it's a lover's quarrel. She was in love with him. He rebuffed her. She's heartbroken now. It's like, and it's really pathetic. We could talk about the collapse and total, the end of how Tucker is really freaking people out with this Sinclair thing. When you've lost Dave Portnoy, dear God, even Portnoy is saying, wait a minute, whoa. How does this happen? We'll talk about the collapse of democratic cities and how they've been abandoned. But that's kind of interesting. But first and foremost, there is something that's happening. The enemy is going to attack. This is the Ardennes. This is the Battle of the Bulge. This is somebody saying, wait a minute, they are planning something. This is D-Day. This is Normandy. This is Rommel saying, wait a minute. Something's up with these people. Something is up. Where is this thing going? What is happening? What are we not paying attention to? Give me a subject that nobody's talking about, that people find kind of boring. Give me a topic that people are not talking about, that others are finding somewhat boring, okay? Give me a topic which people are not discussing because it's of a subject matter that might be too, like for example, BRICS or artificial intelligence. That's what I want to talk about. Let's talk about something that nobody's paying attention to. Let's do this. Now, one of the things which is the most fascinating, and I've been looking at this, and this morning I've been reading, I've been up so early today. Do you see what is happening involving setting up for the disaster? I mentioned food shortages, labor unrest, strikes and interruptions, Western drought, oil shortages, cyber attacks, panic buying and shortages, globalist predictions, World Economic Forum and stuff, farmlands and crops and acreage being bought up by people that we don't really know, maybe China, maybe not. The big three: water, food, and energy, hydro imperialism, electric cars. What are they planning? What's going to happen? Who's looking out for you? No one. Let me say this to you. Who's looking out for you? No one. No one. Who's talking about this? No one. They're talking about things like Hunter Biden. And that's the thing. I'm thinking to myself, wow. The enemy is planning this. I see what's happening. The enemy is planning this. I know this. I know this. And nobody's even remotely. There's so much. It's like I'm reading lab reports. I'm getting enemy reports. I'm thinking they're over here, they're over there. They're planning a battle. They're coming in. There's going to be a war here. Not a civil war. The word civil war is used too much. But there's something here which is beyond this. Do you see what's happening here? What do they want? What would be the greatest thing for the shadow government, the globalist, invisible government, for there to be complete and total chaos? We mentioned this last night. How do we accomplish that? We're doing it by what's happening in cities, but also by what's happening coming up. It's wintertime. Are you looking? What information do you look at every single day? I can't say this enough to you. I can't explain it enough, but it is incumbent upon you as a citizen of the world to do your own research. Do you have your own? Do you look at what's being said? Do you look at, how much do you equip yourself with in terms of knowledge and information? This is something right now, I am telling you, I am constantly, everywhere I'm going, I'm saying, where's it going to hit first? What's going to happen? I start to see, if I see more and more, any kind of change. For example, I mentioned this the other night. In New York City, we are seeing an absolute plethora, a swarming of scooters, little motorcycles, not Vespa types, but these weird types, no tags. Or we saw a while back, paper tags, all paper tags. Paper tags were the most interesting. Paper tags. I thought this is really interesting. Paper tags. Do they? I don't know. Nobody's stopping them. No police following them. I guarantee you would have had. We used to have. Listen to this. We used to have license tag readers. They'd go up and down the street. You could see at the back of the police cars. They had these two cameras on the boot or on the trunk of the car. And they would go up and down. We don't see these anymore. Nobody's interested in knowing anymore who's there. What is happening here? Follow this. Are you seeing what's happening in DC? How do I say this? In DC to be sure, but also Chicago Airport. Did you see that? Did you see what's happening in the Chicago airport? It's incredible. All of a sudden, teams and swarms of people. What's going to happen? Where do they go next? How are they absorbed? What happens to them? Who has a role? Who has the list? If there's one thing that governments will tell you, and we've known this, especially the more despotic the organization, the more despotic the people, the more they have lists of everybody. which is one of the reasons which confounds this really bothers some people. During the days of Caesar and Pontius Pilate, they were very big in terms of keeping track and keeping records of crucifixions and penalties. A lot of folks were saying, well, where's the Jesus crucifixion? Well, we don't know. That would have been in all the papers. That would have, and Josie, and people don't want to hear this because I mentioned this yesterday. People don't want to hear that which they don't like. They only want to hear news that accepts them. So anyway, so where are these people going? Who are they? What is their name? What is their affiliation? How do they become assimilated? Who is in charge? We don't know. We have two oafs here in New York City. Kathy Hochul, who reminds me of the kind of like the assistant principal or the librarian, kind of like the PTA mom. She's just a complete and total sap. Give me not a quisling, but give me a puppet. Give me somebody I can make do things that are contrary to their own political background. That's Kathy Hochul. Then we have the dumbest of the dumb, an oaf, a churlish boor, an unsophisticated rube, Eric Adams, the mayor, who is being used by the power brokers, by the elites, by the real estate folks to secure this piece of property in Brooklyn, or this waterfront here, or this zoning here, or this deal, or this. I mean, they are promising him, they say, oh, no, Eric, we love you. Come on in. We love you. Come on, we'll take you to the Hamptons. The Hamptons, yes. We're going to have fundraisers for you. Scaramouche and others playing to him, and they recognize what his weakness is. He wants to be cool. He wants to be accepted. He wants to be loved. He's not in their category. And it's not about race. It's about class. He doesn't have it. And they're using him, and they're going to suck him dry. They're going to desiccate him. Same thing with Kathy Hochul. Same thing with the governor of the mayor of Chicago. Look what they did to Lori Lightfoot. What did they do? They threw her some Harvard, some titular bone. She's done. They don't pay back. And when the rule comes out, it's like, don't ever let them come to you. See, in the old days, people like the old governments, globalists and the like, if you were Tony Blair, if you were somebody else, oh man, they took care of you. But not anymore. Muriel Bowser, DC, forget it. Absolutely hosed. They ruin your political career. They hand to the Republicans or your opponent. Philadelphia, Kensington, this is a disaster. And it's not so much, here's the best part. Listen to what I'm saying to you. When you have a bunch of people walking around drugged out of their minds, they're not as dangerous to you as, believe it or not, people who are young and dangerous with guns, who are running around. That's a scary thing. But when you see people passed out on the street, they pose they're an eyesore, but they don't really pose any physical threat to you. They're just out of it. They're completely out of it. You know what somebody told me? I saw this yesterday, which I never knew. It was one of these interviews. And somebody said, this one particular person said that with cocaine, when she came off of cocaine, she felt terrible. She hated herself. It was this awful getting it out of your system and coming back to normal. And oh, the noise. She says, with meth, it's like that. Clean. Next. I did not know that. I thought there would be this terrible, after you've been up 3-4 days, you might be exhausted. But I didn't realize this because the drugs are going to get they're going to start to tweak it a little bit more. So let me go back to what I said initially. Where is the problem going to be? We're going to see riots. We're going to see mayhem. We're going to see problems. We're going to see delivery system problems. We're going to see breakdowns. We're going to see chaos. Remember, everybody benefits from chaos. The people who are in charge of the world benefit from chaos. They never, ever, ever, ever enjoy or like anything that's happy. When people are happy, not good. You know what free radicals are, right? Free radicals are when an electron is cleaved and they become basically, they're looking for something to pair. That free electron is looking for a mate. That is called oxidation in essence. Antioxidants basically remove the volatility of these very, very volatile and dangerous electrons. Anyway, that stability, antioxidants make this homeostasis static, even. Shadow government hates that, hates that. They want you always upset, always scared, always inside, always trying to leave, sell property, buy, not go to work, not go to school, not marry, marry, drugs, drunk, crime, anything. It doesn't matter what it is. As long as you can, imagine you have this beautiful chess set, and no matter how carefully you place it, I put it on this vibrating platform and I turn it up. And no matter how carefully you organize them, they're going to knock over. That's what they want. And that's why you're going to have to do. What are you going to do when something happens? Are you able, if there is civil unrest, you have to ask yourself, what am I able to do? There's not going to be any police. Forget the police. Police do only one thing and one thing only. They respond. They fill out reports. They take a picture of your dead body. They take a picture of your car that's been smashed. That's it. And it's not their fault. They're not bodyguards. They're not bodyguards. But that's what the police are going to do. Now, if you have seconds to react and the police are minutes away, what are you going to do? Because once it happens, once there's this sense of not that people are being victimized, but that there's lawlessness. If there's a feeling of lawlessness, everything will follow. You don't have to tell people, hey, go out and rob. You don't have to do that. Not everybody wants to rob, but you want there to be lawlessness. This is broken window. What are you going to do? How are you ready? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do about protecting yourself? What are you going to do about food? I mentioned this. We have friends of ours. They're wonderful. You know what their idea of? We have cash handy. Well, that's good. That's very good. We have cash. Okay. That's good. What do you think that's going to do for you? What is that going to do? What is that going to? I'm dead serious. This is an actual conversation. They look at me. I don't know. You never thought about this because people are not good at thinking about, well, what happens next? I'm very good at saying, okay, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. I see it. I always see. I am very. Now, the reason why I'm not paranoid or anxious is I'm able to balance this, but I'm extremely good. Some people are good at reflecting on the past. They're depressives. These are people who are extremely good at sometimes a little bit too much. They're always regretting what they did, regretting what they could have done. Their focus is very good at looking in the past. By the way, I need your likes. I need your likes. I need your likes. I can't say it enough. Dear friends, I'm telling you, believe me, I want to compete with the big boys, as they say. And the reason why we're going to compete with them is we need our numbers. Because I'm telling you, we can bring more people into our room if we tell them we're not the usual folks. So I need your likes. Anyway, what are you going to do in case there's food, water? What about water? What about when things shut down? Two things of water. Number one, tap doesn't come on. That's number one. Or number two, it may come on, but it's dirty. Do you have filtration systems? Oh, I'm not talking about a pup tent. I'm talking about in your home, just in your home. That's it. Do you have something? What are you able to do? What are you going to do if there's no water? Have you even thought about this? I promise you, people say, you know what? We'll handle it when it comes there. This is the way people are. Who wants to think about this? I don't want to get into things about the toilet doesn't flush and all that kind of jazz. I'm not going to worry about that. But the point is this. Now, when it comes to as far as electricity, Energy, that's a different one. Generators, water, food. Preparewithlionel.com. Preparewithlionel.com. This is the first part of the three-legged stool, is the food part. This is the part which I can't explain. This is the easy part. The other part, generators and water, and yeah, you can buy them. And by the way, Prepare with Lionel, My Patriot supplies great, filtration systems, water and jugs and bottles, that kind of thing. I don't know what to tell you. But I want you to listen to something, and I want you to understand what I'm saying, and I want you to hear what I'm saying. These are different times. And listen to me. The enemy is not from within. It's not from within. It's not the liberals. It's not the conservatives. It's not American. This pathogen is elsewhere. And we're not the only ones getting it. It's the world. So let me tell you something. Preparewithlionel.com, $200 off a 3-month emergency food order. Do it now. Also tell you something. If you have the slightest inclination of doing anything involving self-protection, you must understand specifically what this means. The moment you utilize your your Second Amendment right to a weapon, we'll talk about that some other time. We need a whole day on that one. And one of the things that we have to do right now is introspection, and to think about things and what's going on. Let me tell you a couple of things that are happening right here. The first rule is going to be also, what are you going to do in terms of information? When there is no power, those wind-up radios, you kind of laugh at those. Those are a godsend. We were here in the blackout in 95 or whatever the hell it was. I don't know what it was. And it was pretty nice. But I remember one time being at our local pub, and somebody had a crank, an actual AM radio. It was the greatest thing in the world. Okay. What information are you getting? What data are you getting? Let me give you some stories about what's happening right now. First and foremost, there are people who are doing everything in their power to try to provide to you not the truth, but a version of the truth. Let me explain this to you. Pick any place you want to work. Politico. First of all, there are no newsrooms. Understand something. This is important. There was a newsroom. There were places. Mrs. L and I used to like to go to the Huffington Post sometimes. We were there. It's very interesting. Huffington Post. It was really a funky place. I remember one time sitting. They had these cool people sitting around. It was right before the end of this. Where is Ariana Huffington now? I have no idea. She's gone. But there were people who were sitting on these big balloon, these beach ball kind of seats. They didn't have chairs, and they sort of whatever. But it was the end of the newsroom, and the newsroom is more because the newsroom provides a sense of this is our collective. What are you working on? What are we working on? You have the news director. You have a meeting. He comes out. That's done. That's finished. The closest thing you'll ever see that maybe today is a TV station, and that's local in particular, local and national to an extent. So when you look at these places, whether it's everything from Breitbart to whatever, a lot of these people, there's no newsroom. You just have people who are scattered, and you kind of have an idea, sort of the political wherewithal. In the old days, you worked at a station. You didn't care about your politics. You were there. I'm a photographer. I do video. I do production. I do this. I stand up. Not anymore. Now, when you work at these places, they don't tell you, make sure you always give out this disjointed information. Make sure it's always skewed. Make sure, don't do that. I need your likes, by the way. I need your likes. You understand what I'm saying then? You see what's going on? They don't do that. So the question is, and what many of you bring up, you'll bring up the fact, where does this come from? Who is in charge of this evil? Where does this come from? Who are these people? Where is the message? How does this work? Who does what? And it's very interesting. Here's the best part. Here's the best part. Who even sees this? I used to love, there was a magazine store. It was wonderful, called Universal Magazines on 8th Avenue. It was beautiful. This great place. You could sit. They had coffee. They had bagels and sandwiches. And you could go and read, just pick up magazines from all over the world. Sit down. I don't know if they ever even sold anything, but magazines you can't believe. Thick, French, local, German, international. And you would sit there. And I remember one time seeing opera news, opera day, opera. And I opened up the masthead, and he said, look at all these people working on Northwest Advertising, director, publisher, writers, features, opera magazine, opera. And I thought, look at all the work that's involved. Nobody reads this. I don't know anybody who reads opera magazine. Oh, a few people. So when you work for opera magazine, you realize this is great stuff, but nobody's reading this. So take all the stories you want today, all the stories you think you know. Understand something. You are the only one within 10 miles who even knows about this. People don't know this. Don't ever get lulled into thinking that somehow people think the way you are. They're not only are they clueless, they just don't care about this. This doesn't mean anything to them. So let's talk about some other things too, which are kind of fun. And I just find this fascinating. Just for one, remember Breitbart. And by the way, I told you I listened to Breitbart. So childish. It was so lame then, but at the time it was pretty revolutionary. But he said that politics is downstream from entertainment, which is true. Now, a couple of things to note. Number one, late night is over. Late night is over. Why? Too much money, no social relevance. Advertisers are getting tired of it. It's not what it used to be. So Jimmy Fallon was this guy that people have been talking about forever, being out of his mind, out of control, whatever. Okay. So recently, Rolling Stone magazine decided to do a hit piece on him. What they're doing to him now is what they did to Ellen. When they want to get rid of you, rather than fire you or claim ratings, the hit piece goes in and they have to dump you because you're losing favor. You're becoming a liability. Hey, Jimmy, look, the heat is, what heat? Well, the heat, people are talking to you. About what? About what? What are you talking about? What is going on here? What is all this? Well, what? Well, people are complaining on this set. You're rude. You might be high or drunk. Whatever. We don't know. It's just time to go. Then you get into moral turpitude. So what they did to Ellen. Ellen, by the way, was a jerk as well. Look at what's happening with that. It's fascinating. This is a concerted hit. And the people from Rolling Stone were made available. Here, do this article. Great. Talk to these people. It's wonderful. Next, I love people who think they're pulling something off. George Clooney and his wife, Amal Clooney. No comment. Amal, Amal, a woman who dreads autocorrect more than anyone. Yeah, this is the lovebird. He's selling his Lake Como thing for 170. You notice how the downsizing. See what they're doing, and they're getting rid of mansions. Or I mean, this is the whole thing is changing. Everything is changing. Next, and this is the most interesting. Two people I find interesting. Why? I guess I'm a psychologist by note, and I find this fascinating. Tucker Carlson, number one, your favorite. Tucker Carlson had such potential, and he started to lose it with this Andrew Tate stuff, Portnoy stuff, who basically is going to turn on him, and then with this Sinclair, the stupid article about the fellow who supposedly had gay sex and did drugs with Obama. This was so unnecessary. The man's so discredited. This was an unforced error, and even Portnoy saying this guy is a nut. And once the stinkeroo label goes to Tucker, that's it. But others are going to say, yeah, that's great, Tucker. Yeah. Because they'll enjoy him stirring this up. He's hurting the cause. The real folks would say to him, the real smart conservatives, you're making us look bad because you're confusing this weird preoccupation that you have. And by the way, when somebody's always talking about men, masculinity, sex, gay sex, testosterone, masculine men, who's a man, who's not a man, he does protest a little too much. When something becomes a preoccupation, there's so much steamer trunk emotional baggage with this guy. It's not even funny. And if you can't see that, then I don't know what to tell you. Watch what happens to him and wait until the moment that one day Elon Musk gets the PU. You know what I've had it. Elon Musk has his ADL problems now. When they get tired of you one day, they say, that's it. That's just enough. Now, here's the other one. And this is the most fascinating. I love this. Why? Because I love human nature. I like likes too. I need your likes, my friend. I love human nature. And I love to see what these people are all about. What am I saying? Okay. Years ago, out of the various, it was tough. There was this very kind of a smart, I guess, Ann Coulter. Nobody could figure out what it was. That clipped. She has this, the best book ever on vocabulary. My favorite. She does this one thing, and I'm going to give you this one word, and it's dentologist. And it is, where is it? I'm going to give you this. I'm sorry, dentilliquist. Pardon me. I always get that one wrong. Dentilliquist. Listen to this great definition. Dentilliquist is the tight bite who speaks with closed or nearly closed choppers, literally through clenched teeth. Dentilliquist. Dentilloquist. Don't bother looking it up. Does one become a dentilliquist through hereditary family traits? Possibly. Though keeping the teeth locked may also be a way to keep a grip on the emotions or even to keep from biting someone. Dentilliquists include Connecticut debutantes, seething parents, failed ventriloquists, and Clint Eastwood. And there's that kind of a... There's also a little bit of... It's not a lisp. It's not a sibilance. Jane Pauley does it. She does it. There's a way of... It's the last vestige of the, not mid-Atlantic, but that Darien. They call it Darien. Is Darien. Darien. Ren. Ken. Darien. But they call it Darien. I don't know why they just do it. Anyway. So she's always been that thing. I'm cool I'm skinny, I'm blonde, you know I'm sexy, and I'm an internal bag of mush inside. Can read that a mile long. You know who else I throw that into? Laura Ingraham. But I digress. That's for another story. This one I know. So I'm watching this. And you can always tell what the deal is. You can always tell what is the thing. Some people you could say, look, I happen to be what I did. I look like this. I am like this, or whatever it is. And you've seen it before, especially with very, very, very bright. And Coulter is a very bright person. There's no doubt about that. But deep down inside, she wants, if you said, Anne, what would you rather be? Sexy or brilliant? One or the other. Oh, no doubt about it. Sexy. Absolutely. Okay. Something happened with her. Single woman. I'm just saying. Not that there's anything wrong with it. Something happened with Trump. She loved Trump. She was in the famous Bill Maher. By the way, Bill Maher is trying so hard. He and Russell Brand and others are trying. Are we conservative? Yeah. Russell Brand, by the way, very, very good. But you can tell where they are. This is where it's going now. Obviously. Chappelle did it. Russell Brand. He tries sometimes. And by the way, I'm not careful purveyors of what they do, so I can't really speak volumes, but from what I've sampled. Anyway, something happened when she was on Bill Maher show. She said, "Who's going to win? Donald Trump." Oh, and she and Donald were like this. She and Donald were like, and something happened. Something happened. Now I don't know him from Adam. I don't speak out of any personal knowledge or secondhand knowledge, but I will say this. If I had to bet, if I just had to bet, relationship longevity, male, female, between Trump and women, not good. Not good. He seems a little transitory. Look at his, I'm just saying. That's why Carrie Lake, remember Carrie Lake? They said she was moving to Bedminster. She was there. I mean, Carrie, don't buy the green bananas. As soon as he gets done with you, I'm telling you, it's gonna happen. And I think that's done. I don't know. What do I know? Nobody checks with me. But something happened with Ann Coulter. And her hatred of him is palpable. Palpable. Big pussy she's getting. And also, she always fancied herself as kind of like that snooty, somewhat refined, quote unquote, as refined as we're going to get. Nothing ever coarse. And he says to her, "You're a big loser." Now, that's what he does, because he just does these things. And what you're seeing is a lover's quarrel. This is the spurned lover. It is so beautiful. And she said, "Okay, I'll do this, but I want you to come on Substack." "No, I'm not going to do that." And she got upset with him. "How dare you?" He's on shows that nobody can figure out. I don't know who knows. I just find that, again, this is my hobby. My hobby is looking at failed, miserable, crash and burn human beings, trying to fit together there, trying to do a kind of a Freudian post-mortem and look at them and figure out, say, what are they about? What are they about? Russell Brand, by the way, give you a little hint. Anybody who has ever been a drug addict or coming off of something emotional are the most interesting, because they bare their souls to the point of exposition, and then they kind of sort of, I don't know what the word is. They sort of maybe they're honest to a fault, and they're interesting in that respect. They're fascinating. Trump would be the hardest. You would never get anywhere past Trump. You would never get anywhere. Nowhere. This is a person who is so complicated, in my opinion. I believe he is, you know, when people say narcissistic, and they use that word, there's this one, You've seen her on. She's a psychiatrist or shrink or something. That's all she talks about. I think Trump is on a level of not ego. Trump literally, and don't take this the wrong way, he loves himself. I'm not saying he's a narcissist. I think he's good to people. He likes it. I'm not saying he's not evil or anything like that. His image is so well defined. So well defined. So well. He's fascinating. If you ask him, where do people fit into your life? Where does your son? Where does your wife? Where's your family? Where's your parents? What? I don't know. I don't really know. The way so what I'm saying is, and you might think, oh, he's slamming. I'm not slamming Trump. I'm not suggesting he'd be a good president because of his incredibly well put together psychological mean. I'm not saying that by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just saying you got to understand him. You got to understand how this feller works. And there's one thing you've got to understand. If you're some woman, do you know what women do? Do you have any idea? By the way, have you seen Bill Clinton lately? Oh my God. They had Bill Clinton in the Hamptons. He's shuffling along. I always heard he wasn't doing well in a long time. He just doesn't look good. He's kind of shuffling along and he's got that flat. I mean, that guy with women. And now he just looks like this old guy with the tennis shoes and kind of, you know what I mean? It's the weirdest thing. So anyway, so I just want to spend just one more 30 seconds on this. Ann Coulter got her heart broken by him, and she's furious. And every time she tries to go back, and he senses it, he cuts her down and draws her in and loves this. He loves this. The worst thing you could ever do to Donald Trump is indifference. The worst thing you could ever do to him is to say, I'm not impressed. Not that I don't like you, but I'm just not impressed. You're okay. You're all right. What? You're okay. What do you mean I'm okay? I mean, you're okay. You're all right. What? That will kill him. That will kill him. But here's the best part. I'm going to tell him, you take whatever you're doing, your self-love or whatever, and I want you to go into that White House and win and destroy the shadow government. I need you. I need somebody who is so cocksure, so resilient, so full of himself that only he could endure what he's going through. Only he could do this. Nobody else could do this. Nobody else could do this. Can you imagine? Let me just tell you. You want to do a little profile of Chris Christie? You want to spend some time? Look at these people. Look at them. You know, in the Mossad, there's a book. It was called Tip of the Spear, I think it is. No, Gideon's. No. What is it called? God. What's the book? Hang on a minute. It's called Gideon's Spies. Yes. Gordon Thomas. Yes. And there is a book that they have that is a kind of a dossier, so to speak, of all the leaders of the world. And supposedly it says that Netanyahu's wife, have you seen her? Whoa, that's a tough one. She wanted to see, I want to see this. And they said, well, but it's kind of a dossier on Hillary. And you have to know the psychological wherewithal of these people. So when you're going to meet with Putin or you're going to meet with Macron, you have to know who these people are. You will have met. You have your own psychologist, psychiatrist. You have people who know about behavior. You have to know this. What do you think Nikki? Listen, if you had to meet, would you speak to Nikki Haley the same way you would do Tulsi Gabbard? No way. Mm-mm. How would you, if you spoke to Hillary Clinton, how would you speak to her? What would be your thing? What would be your, what are you trying to get after her? Respect. Respect. She is the most broken, disrespected, disappointed woman or person on the face of the earth. Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi, what does Tulsi want to be? Star. Yvonne DiCarlo, Lily Munster, sexy Hawaiian, you know what I mean? Does not want to, she wants to be the star. You got to understand that. Some people say, but I want to be a political star. That's different. She wants to be a star. She don't want to go into politics. What does Ann Coulter want? That's even more complicated. Because she wants to be, Ann Coulter she wants to bitch. She's a yenta. She's a harridan. That's her thing. She's very good at it too. You got to ask yourself, what is it that people want? Go down the list. Here's some names you're going to know. Harris Faulkner, Kellyanne Megan versus Sarah Huckabee Sanders. 3 different women. What do you think they want? How would you speak? Whom would you want for what? If you had to meet with Putin, what would you do? That's why, by the way, you notice how Vic Ramaswamy, he's nowhere to be found. He's gone. Same thing with Bobby Kennedy. Oh, you'll hear something now and then. Bobby Kennedy, he said, I'm here, we're meeting. He said, Bobby, you don't want to care about this. Who are the people who are out there? Who were the people? Donald Trump did something, and I'm going to tell you something right now that he did that was so brilliant, and nobody caught this. And it goes back to my love of hostage negotiators and criminal profilers and knowing how people work. I have known these people. If you know what people are like, I worked with people before and all they wanted was to be taken seriously. I've been at radio stations where all of a sudden we have this new change, where all of a sudden there's a new PD, the program director, and people are like, phew. So when I'm hearing this, I think, okay, I know. And I remember one time I said something, this one guy said, you got a boss? And he looked at me and he said, like, boss. And that was it. And we hit it off. And I swear to you, while everybody else, they called him like by his first name, he wanted respect because he was afraid. And he needed people. Oh, it was, anyway. You got to do this. Going back to what's going on, what Trump did. Hostage negotiating. When somebody's got a bunch of people and they've got a gun to their head, you want them to put the gun down, let the people go and come out. And you're going to have to lie to them. But you want to make them sound almost noble. I understand what you're doing. I understand. They don't understand you. The story goes when they were interrogating Saddam Hussein, if you believe this, whenever Saddam Hussein came into a room, they stood up because he was the president. I mean, they treated him because that loosened him up. That's what he was used to. So what Trump did was he was talking about Kim Jong-un. He said, that young man, I've got a lot of respect for him. He has a tremendous responsibility. Somebody told him. I don't know if Trump did this on his own, but it sounded exactly like, and he said, this man's got a tremendous responsibility. And you know what? His country needs him. Blah, 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 blah. It was beautiful. Absolutely superb. Superb. And that's exactly what he does. And he's so perfect with it. And he knows he's so good at it. And doesn't get it. Doesn't really understand it. You know who also knew who he was? The great people? I never met him. I just saw him one time. I didn't meet him. Walter Cronkite. Oh my God. They walk into a room and people just drop. They just fall over. Bill Clinton to an extent. And look at what's going on right now in these. Look at what's happening. How are you going to position right now? Trump does that. Believe me, Trump is not perfect. But look what he's doing. And look how they love him. And we don't know what. We just love him. My problem with him is, how do you break through the blood barrier program and go somewhere else? How do you see this? Right now is a chance. Mr. President, you've got to be talking about the cities falling apart. You are not telling anybody about what you want to do. You're just talking about you and now and how they're, prosecuting you now. What are you going to do to explain to the rest of the world what you're going to do to change things? You got it? It's that simple. It's beautiful. I love it. By the way, one more thing too I want to tell you. My pillow. My good friend and yours. I've never met the man personally, but I'd love to. Mike Lindell, but I know him. I know what he does. MyPillow.com is going strong every single day, and he is just picking up speed and momentum like nobody's business. MyPillow.com, promo code Lionel, get a free gift. Now, there are more clearance sales, and there's new inventory and new seasons. You can't believe what you got. Just go. MyPillow.com, promo code Lionel, get a free gift. No purchase necessary. Phenomenal. American, brave, First Amendment activated. I love the guy. MyPillow.com, promo code Lionel. So, my friends, as we today try our best to figure out where it is that we're going to go, we got to ask ourselves the following question. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen regarding, and this is important, regarding the next step of the election now? What is going to happen? How do we get the word out? How do we focus on explaining to the undecided voters? Watch the calamity. Listen carefully. Listen to what's happening in Chicago. Look at this. O'Hare Airport. They're all over the place. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. And Biden and these people lure these stupid mayors and governors in, promise them the world, and then abandon them. That's going to be critical. That is going to be critical. That is what we're going to have to pay attention to. You understand what I'm saying? That's it. It's so good right now. Focus on that. A lot of other issues. I'm telling you, it's like which battlefront do you want to deal with? There is going to be serious problems coming up regarding destabilization. Winter. That's number one. Number two, they can't wait to talk about COVID. Oh, other people now are coming forward, like Megyn Kelly. I'm not so sure. She claims hang on, what's this stupid story? This is because this is nothing but a great PR department. Hang on. Megyn Kelly. Hang on. Megyn Kelly. Wait a minute. Because if you notice, they're talking more and more about Megyn re-ups at Sirius. Okay. Not going to have told you that. Are the Obamas running a shadow puppet government? This is old stuff. This is just the usual. Anyway, but I got to tell you something about this. I love when they think all of a sudden, never. Here we go. This is from OK Magazine. Now, you ready for this? Megyn Kelly regrets getting the COVID vaccine. I would have been fine. She says, I do regretting the vaccine, even though I'm a 52-year-old woman, because I don't think I needed it. I think I would have been just fine. And then she says, the journalist said that she had gotten COVID many times in the past, but after receiving the vaccine, she tested positive for an autoimmune issue during the annual physical. I asked the rheumatologist, do you think this could have been due to the fact that I got the booster and then got COVID within 3 weeks? And she said, yes, I wasn't the only one she'd be seen with. Okay. Question number 1. Why did she get the all clear for that? Do you think anybody from Sirius came in and said, hey, you just re-upped? You think there's any chance? I don't know what they're paying her, but don't do this. Don't bring this up. Why are you talking about this? We still have these folks to deal with. So somebody's giving her the idea the coast is clear. Who is it? Why is it? Why is that happening now? Are they luring people out to all of a sudden? Has the Russia-Ukraine talk just gone away? Are we just done with that? I mean, all the people with the Ukrainian flag, what happened with that? Pay attention to what's happening. Something, I don't know what it is, but COVID or some manifestation, they're talking now about masks again, and they're even debating in the Senate whether it should be mandatory. There should be a federal ban against masks. And I think some Democrats said, I think we should leave it up to individual groups. And I agree. I don't like anytime you see mandatory anything. Oh, look, if you want to wear a mask, if your community wants to wear a mask, that's fine. That's up to you. Freedom may not make sense to me, but this is coming back. Somewhere, I don't know what, but you've got to pay attention. But I want you to be able to look and say, what am I seeing? What am I seeing that's going on here? What is happening? What is happening? And what's the change? So anyway, so keep talking about that. It's so many other things too. Oh my God, just watch. And when does Gavin Newsom come in? Because already they're asking Carmelita Harris, what would happen if Joe dies? I mean, it's on its way. It's coming. It's here. They're just going to push her. She must know. It's going to be Newsom and Gretchen Whitmer. But watch that. Also, watch what's happening with Bobby Kennedy. Where is he? Vic Ramaswamy? Watch the guy to watch. DeSantis. Watch him go to the top. He's steady but sure. Know what to look for. Know what to pay attention to. Don't. I mean, some other kind of stuff is kind of fun. But don't waste your time with this stuff. All right, my friends, have a great and glorious time. Don't ever change. I mean that sincerely. We'll see you tonight at 7 p.m. Thank you so much for your support and the like. Don't forget to sign up, like our videos, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos. And don't forget, my friends, take $200 off a 3-month emergency food order right now. Preparewithlionel.com. You know what's coming. Guaranteed. So start paying attention now and start storing up now. All right, see you tonight. Don't ever forget, my friends. Don't ever forget the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue you. Let me try it again.